Well, this will be fun. I get to talk with a successful Hollywood actor. He's got some 400 credits on his IMDb page, including several episodes of hit TV series like Matlock, the original, Lost, and 911, and movies such as Rob Zombie's Halloween and The Munsters, The Fugitive, Getting Grace, Terrifier 3, and more recently, Saint Nick of Bethelem and The Hail Mary. Phew! We say hello to Daniel Roebuck. Hey, Danny.
Nice to see you. Thank you, everybody.
So let me ask you, first of all, how did a guy born and raised in the Lehigh Valley, Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, end up as a pretty darn good and always busy actor?
Thank you for asking. Well, I thought I should be on TV from the time I was 6, and I talked about it all the time. And when you're 6 years old in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, saying you want to be on TV is like, might as well say, and then I'd like to go to the moon. Like, it doesn't make any sense. But you just have to make every decision in your life leading you to the path. The path was also the path I think God chose for me and directed me toward. So I think that's how it happens. I think the desire to be an actor was put in my heart, and the ability was put in my soul, and the stick-to-itiveness was taught to me by two very lovely, hardworking Pennsylvanian parents.
Awesome. Hey, I'm a music fan, so I know Rob Zombie from his work as a hard rocker, but he's also a movie director who's done a number of films, and you seem to be one of his go-to guys. You've acted in, what, 5 or 6 Rob Zombie
I've acted in
movies?
every movie except the first, and he cut me out of one of them. Because it's easier to cut your friends out of movies. You should know this. If I ever say, hey, you want to be in a movie? You'll be the first guy cut, because we're in the press room together.
Well, how did that relationship begin, you and Rob Zombie?
Well, you see behind me, I collect toys. That's my Munsters collection, a toy collection. And this is a very small piece of a very vast collection of toys that lives here in California and waiting for home in Pennsylvania, where I've got a facilities where they're stored, which is my buddy's basement. So we both collected toys, and I met him first we went into a model store. That's where I met him first. But then I re-met him at a premiere of Elvira's Hidden Hills, an Elvira movie. And I said, hey, I wanted to just come say hi. And he said, I was thinking that I should come say hi to you. And then we started talking. We actually wrote a movie for him about a guy who just passed away, a guy named Sam Sherman. We wrote that movie. Never, a lot of, like me, I go through a lot of ideas. Don't really get to do them all. But I met him. He liked me. And, I work hard. So when they give me a little part in something, I give him 1,000%. When he gives me a bigger part, I give him 2,000%. So I think he can trust that I'll always be there for him.
Well, as a kid, I watched The Munsters back in the mid-late 60s, and you got to portray Grandpa Munster. How cool was that?
Dude, better than anything in my entire life. And I want to tell you, I've had a very good life. I've got a great wife. I've had some other great wives before, 2 amazing kids, perfect kids. I've worked with Tommy Lee Jones, Harrison Ford, Andy Griffith, Kathy Bates. The list of the people I've stood next to is enormous. Spock, Kirk, everybody, like everybody. I've worked with everybody I admired as a kid. But when they said, Rob called and said, you want to play this? I said, if you're punking me, it would be the meanest thing that anybody's ever done to me in my entire life. And I loved it. Every second of it, I loved it. And I knew Fred Gwynn, and I knew Al Lewis, and I knew Butch Patrick, and now I know, Pat Priest and Butch, and I met Yvonne. Like, I worked with Fred. I knew Al. There's no one better to play that part than me. And so when it happened, I just thought, if you need a proof of God, this is it right here.
Well, probably my all-time favorite horror flick is the original John Carpenter Halloween from 1978. And you played Big Lou Martini in Rob's remakes of Halloween 1 and 2, 15, 18 years ago. And you've recently written an activity book based on the Halloween franchise. So what's the scoop? What are we looking at here?
Isn't that ridiculous? Look at that. So Peter Bregman and I have a company called Monster General Store. And we do other work for people like Trick or Treat Studios and other companies. So this we did the first one was Rob Zombie House of a Thousand Corpses book. The brainchild was one day I woke up and I said, wouldn't it be great to have a 1960s style coloring book of the most horrific movies ever made? So remember the 60s coloring books, Lassie or the
Yeah.
Munsters or the My Mother the Car. It was always so. This is my original was simply this: Dr. Satan loves to operate, which was like the crazy character, and that's what it said underneath. And so these coloring books are written, and you have to write them. You can't just come
Yeah.
up with everything's kind of the opposite of what you think it should be. There's puns. If you've ever seen Halloween, and I'm sure you have, Jay, you said it scared you.
Oh yeah.
If you look at Halloween now as a fully formed adult, what you really see is a movie about three of the worst babysitters who've ever been hired by any family in the history of time. They're stupid and horny and ridiculous. They're having sex. They're Jamie Lee Curtis at one point puts two 13-year-old, a boy and a girl in the same bed and locks the door. Like horrific. And then the doctor, everything he thinks is wrong. Should we tell people we have a maniac? No, don't tell anyone. If we tell them, they'll be panicked. Well, since no one knows, he kills everyone. If they had just gone on the radio and said, hey, there's a maniac loose, maybe tonight, carry a gun when you go trick or treating, he would have been, blown away at the second house. What's funnier to me is not Halloween night, the 31st. I want you to imagine the next day, let's say Saturday the 1st. The family comes home and he's like, honey, I thought it was weird when I noticed some of my beer missing. And then I saw that kid from the supermarket hanging from a hook in the hallway. But he goes, somebody put someone's headstone from the cemetery on our bed with a dead body. Like,
Yes.
what did they think when they came home? Honey, don't ever hire that dumb babysitter again, is what he would have said.
Danny, what are we looking at here on the bottom half of the screen? Dan of a Thousand Faces.
So I had to call Ron Chaney, my friend, the great grandson of Lon Chaney himself, and say, do you mind if I steal that phrase? And he said it was okay. So what you're seeing here are these crazy toys that we're putting out. I have such great talented friends, and we thought it'd be fun to have just simply a line of toys that people would collect, but they're all individually made and hand painted. So each one is a miniature work of art, essentially. And we take them to the shows when we go to the conventions. Because I'm a collector, when I go to, like, I met you at Monster Mania, such a great show there in Oaks. I love those people. I always have product for people to pick up because I would want the product too.
Hey, one of my favorite TV series ever was Lost, which you were on for, I think, 9 episodes. Do you remember your character's name? I know he suffered a tragic ending. And any special memories of your time on that legendary show?
Oh, yeah, Dr. Arst. Well, it was funny to come on and play the beautiful Evangeline Lilly.
I loved her.
She's a good person. I made good friends. Jorge Garcia, is not only still a friend, but when Rob Zombie called and said, someone who might want to be in the Munsters, the first guy I thought of was Jorge. And, he said Rob had him at the Munsters. I played Dr. Arst, a kind of an arrogant, full of himself science teacher.
Mm-hmm.
He did get what he deserved, probably. But the great thing about Lost is, even though I exploded on TV 21 years ago almost, I exploded on TV, but there was time to come back. I realized recently, too, I made a post that's exactly half of my time in Hollywood. So exploding on TV, today, I can look back and say that I was right in the middle of my journey.
To quote a line from SCTV, he blowed up real good.
He blowed up real good, yeah.
You sure did. You've been in several faith-based movies, including 2017's Getting Grace, which you actually co-wrote and directed. I just watched that actually recently, and I'm sure you're very proud of that one. You should be. It is terrific. Brought a few tears to my eyes watching that one.
That's interesting. Chet, I invite your dudes to watch that movie because generally a movie about a teenage girl with cancer wouldn't catch the hearts of, let's say, guys who love watching sports all Sunday. But I will tell you that a lot of men of a certain, of our age have watched it multiple times because ultimately what it's about is a girl choosing her father. The movies I've made so far, that one, Lucky Louie, the Hail Mary coming out soon, Thank Nick, they're all essays on fatherhood. The second one I mentioned, Lucky Louie, was even more so because I wrote and directed it with my daughter, Grace Roebuck, who's an extremely talented young lady. So they're all kind of essays on fatherhood, and I think men have said to me, I've seen that movie 3, 4 times. And I think it's because, in essence, I have no degradation of motherhood. I revere and respect motherhood. I myself had a fantastic mother. But, for so long in our society, the dads have been brushed aside as secondary. Chet, do you have kids? I don't know.
Two
You
kids,
have
yes.
kids? 2 kids. So you know how important it is to impart on them, us men, what we impart. And I say this respectfully, you can write letters, but our job is to teach them morals and ethics. That's why we're there. Your job is to direct them towards intelligence. Got one job. So my movies are about that.
Well, last November, another one of your films, Saint Nick of Bethlehem, had a nice big premiere at the Roxy Theater in Northampton. Everybody who saw it apparently raved about it, and I really want to see it. I hear it's coming out streaming December 1st.
Yeah,
We can
it'll be
talk about that in a
streaming
second.
December 1st, but it is playing again. I'll try to get it up in your area in Jersey, but it'll be again in the Lehigh Valley. We're gonna announce soon that it's gonna open the day after Thanksgiving at Frank
Great.
Benko Ale House. It's gonna play at the Roxy in mid-November. So people will have an opportunity to come back and enjoy the film. It's, Santa returns every year. The big guy is back.
Oh, I can't wait. I'm going to get up to the Lehigh Valley and see that.
Oh,
And
please. Oh,
I
that'd
am
be
so
great.
sorry. I missed this. I found out just last month that the good old Shankweiler's Drive-In, which I drive past all the time, actually did a double feature last November of Saint Nick of Bethlehem and Terrifier 3. Very different movies, but you playing Santa in both of those. Man, I wish I had known about that at the time.
What a crazy night. I said, could you show Saint Nick first, please? Because let people leave.
I love Terrifier 3, by the way. Hey, I talked with you out in Pittsburgh, as we mentioned, at Monster Bash, run by my good friend and your pal Ron Adams in late June. And you were really excited about the upcoming film, The Hail Mary. Again, you
Yes.
wrote and directed this one. You're one of the stars in it as well. And I believe you said it combines faith and football. Tell me more about The Hail Mary.
Yeah, so it's about a fella needs redemption terribly. He stumbles into the path of a very smart nun, religious sister, but we would call them nuns, even though nuns are cloistered, a religious sister. And to lead him toward his redemption, she cons him into creating a football team for her all boys Catholic school. So he has no intention of helping her. And by the end of the movie, again, it's an allegory of fatherhood. It turns out these boys all need someone to show them the path, the ethics and morality. And it's a comedy. So we just won a great award at the Santa Barbara Independent Film Festival. We were the best feature at the festival. And I think we won the most inspirational award at the Prescott International Film Festival. But watching people see it in Prescott, watching people sustain laughs for 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, very great feeling for me. Because, it's like the coaches, right? They come up with a play, they get the right team, they execute the play, and they can go, and we scored. So that's me. Whenever I get the laughs right where I knew there'd be, that's my touchdown.
And these films, by the way, part of your program, A Channel for Peace. What is A Channel for Peace?
A channel, excuse me, a channel of peace, a
Of
channel
Peace,
of
sorry.
peace. No worries. People can go to achannelofpeace.org. and they can see our vision and our journey. The idea is to make faith-fused family entertainment. Not, this is very important to me. In the 70s, we would go see the Poseidon Adventure, and it was a
Yeah.
movie. Now you might consider the Poseidon Adventure a faith-based film, because really, when you look at it, it's not just about a ship turning over. It's about a guy who is having a crisis of faith, and he finds through his own self-sacrifice the path to God. That's what's in the center of the Poseidon Adventure. So my movies are like that. They would have just been called movies, but in them generally there's a journey for a character to kind of find the path towards the light. If you go to channelpiece.org, you'll see how we do it. We always need partners in filmmaking. That means donations. I haven't figured out a way to pay myself through this not-for-profit, although many other not-for-profits have figured it out. I would rather put the money on the screen. Nobody named Roebuck gets paid. That is why my daughter got married and changed her name. And she made a point of reminding me that she's no longer a Roebuck, so we could direct her checks to her bank.
Hey, I mentioned the Hail Mary being somewhat about football. And speaking to that, having been born and raised in Bethlehem, PA, you are an Eagles fan. And after, all of us suffering through some rough years in the early 70s and even into the 90s, how nice was it to see them win not one, but 2 Super Bowls over the last 8 seasons?
How wonderful. And I want to tell you, we would sit, my old man, we went to the games. My dad, I don't know how he afforded it, but he had season tickets. And my brother Johnny and I got to go to 2 games. And I think every other year we got to go to a Monday night game, if I remember correctly. It wouldn't matter if they were losing 42-0. We did not leave the stadium. You do not leave the stadium. And I will tell you that I've had to adapt 3 different women to the Roebuck lifestyle. Every one of them now knows that we're the last at the amusement park, we're the last out of church on Christmas Eve, we're the last, wherever we are. I was the last guy at Disney World once when it was just 3 of us, in the monorail. We got out, there were people waiting with a golf cart. I said, "Oh, you're taking me to the car. Let me tell you where it is." And they said, "No, sir, we know exactly where your car is." Because it was the only car in the entire Disney World parking lot. But always loved them. Look, if you really are a fan, you're a fan for life. It doesn't matter. Just like loving your kids, at some point, you get maybe the cops knock on the door and go, "You brought your son home," and you're like,
Yeah.
I still got to love him, the little son of a gun. That's how it was the Eagles in the 70s, 80s. You still had to love them even though they let you down.
Oh, you got that right. Well, Danny, I knew this would happen. We're pretty much out of time. I didn't get to half of the questions I had for you, but
Let's do it again.
well, I'll tell you what, in an effort to get to a couple of more topics, in our final 2 minutes, let's play a game of Fast Five. 5 questions, 5 brief answers. You got 20 to 30 seconds max for each of these questions, okay? Here we go.
Do it.
Number 1, you spent several years on the original Matlock. Give me a favorite memory of working with Andy Griffith.
Everything about Matlock was perfect. 3 years with one of the greatest actors who ever lived, a television icon. The best part about working with Andy Griffith was in the morning I would come to work and he would hand me a script and say, "Danny, make it funny." And we would work it out and put more jokes in it.
Awesome. Number 2, I mentioned that the original Halloween was my favorite horror flick. What's yours?
My favorite horror flick is an older Gothic horror, The Bride of Frankenstein is my favorite. Although I will tell you, to me, still the scariest movie, and I think the best faith-based movie ever made is The Exorcist. Because if you believe in our Catholic faith, then The Exorcist should terrify you.
Absolutely. Number 3, what is a favorite memory of your formative years in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania?
Well, finding the Pennsylvania Playhouse was a key element of my future success. I walked into the Playhouse when I was 13, and I didn't walk out again until I left town. And I did other theater elsewhere, but the Playhouse and the Sisters of St. Joseph of Philadelphia were both key, and I had great parents and great brothers and sisters and friends.
As I said, I've talked with you at both Monster Mania Con and Monster Bash in Pittsburgh. What is the best thing about doing conventions like that?
Well, I get to meet my fellow monster fans, and those are, two different things. Like Monster Mania is a great time to meet and converse with people of modern horror films. Monster Bash is a great time to meet and converse with people who love classic horror film. And that's why they're different. And that's why I love going, because I get to meet friends and make friends at both places.
Yeah. And finally, Danny, you and your lovely wife, Tammy, will soon celebrate your 10th anniversary. You said you knew when you met her in 2012 that she was a keeper. Why so?
Well, she's, easy on the eyes. Then it turns out she's a great film editor and a great film producer. And without her direct intervention, we would not have been able to make 5 movies in less than 8 years. And that's 5 movies from beginning to end with no studio help. We made them on our own independently, help of other producers, but no studio. We had to find the money, hire the people, make the movie, put the movie out. And so I couldn't have done it without her, and she is the perfect partner. And my kids love her.
So nice to have met her in June. Hey, follow Danny Roebuck on Facebook and Instagram. He's Mr. Daniel Roebuck on that latter platform. He's a great follow. Danny, this was a blast. Happy Halloween and go Birds.
Thank you. God bless. Go Birds. I'll see everybody soon.